So as usual, quite a lot going on. Bits and pieces being painted, the rad there, waiting to decide what I'm going to do with that, and then the tank's halfway through, bit of Bondo that I've got to sand down, the pipe, and then of course the engine crane in position, ready to lift the whole thing up and get the back end off. This is the point, just keep the project moving. When something stalls, just turn to something else. There's always something you can be doing. So the whole gold and blue thing is kind of becoming a signature almost. The Triumph just happened to be blue, and it's got some gold bits, and I bought some more gold bits, and I'm also expecting any minute a new baby. It's a Lancia Stratos recreation by Lister Bell, and the color scheme is the same, as you can see. It's this kind of blue that's on the frame here, and elements of the Triumph too, and it's being shipped right now, semi-built, and Italian Design and Racing, IDR, good friends of mine in Phoenix who built some amazing recreations, honestly. A Ferrari P4 replica recreation with all Ferrari running gear and motors, a 288 GTO recreation. Incredible people are going to be putting the Alpha motor in the Stratos for me, because that's a little bit beyond my capabilities, as you might have gathered already. So yeah, I don't know, this whole blue and gold thing's becoming quite a theme, I think. Apart from the pack rat, obviously. My own little spray booth, compliments of Chewy.com, and a wire coat hanger. So that's one of the pipes going from the water pump to the rad, coming up gold. And I'm using this one. Actually, it's high performance wheel coating, because I figured that'd be harder wearing. Probably not heat resistant, but I don't think the temperature is going to be too much of a problem. Apparently Mr. Simps wants a respray. You fancy being gold? Decided to do a few more little gold accents. So these are just part of the cooling system. It turns out the engine crane is quite a good dangler for spraying parts on. Anyway, those guys go like here, around the side of the cylinder block there, come down to the front there and meet that. And there it is, loosely in place. Nice little gold strip. Yeah, like that. So by total accident, doing this tiny little piece, I've found how to get my dirty gold, and actually this doesn't really look how it looks. But whilst the grey primer was still wet, I thought I'd try it out and just throw some gold on there, and it's come out really nice. This is golder than it looks on the video. It's actually it's perfect. That kind of shows the difference between the gold and the dirty primer gold, and that's kind of what I'm going for. So unfortunately I got to unscrew that engine start button, which was a real pain in the ass to get in there, honestly, and respray that with a little bit of primer and this, but at least that's all I've got to do. Yeah, the interesting thing is just to let the primer get kind of dry, but not quite there. So it's still shiny to the eye, but almost dry. And then spray on the gold. Interesting technique I've just learned. All right, so you can probably see the difference now between that, which is what I'm going for, and that, which is straight out of the can, and that boy down there in the shadows. So here's how you do it, roughly. Little bit of primer. So these are compatible paints, I hope. At least they have proved to be so far, thus far. So little squirt of primer. That'll do. Nicely wet. And the gold. There you go, dirty. And all we need now is some satin finish. Love that, dirty gold. So while I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, originally I was thinking to do it gold, but you know, I kind of like the little bits of gold, and this is a big chunk of metal. So I'm wondering if I try and find a match for the blue and then carry the blue through, because there's a little chain guard that fits here, which is the mock carbon, which has come out quite nicely in the gold. So I'm thinking I might use that on there if I put it back on at all, because I'm also thinking I might mount the brake light off that screw hole there. So we'll see what happens. Trying to work out the airflow into the air box if I'm gonna reroute the not use the side intakes there. And I think that's quite clean actually. Just come straight through between the handlebars and the new speedo mount into that. Actually, the benefit of putting a scoop on top that feeds down here is probably minimal, honestly, because it's mainly going to get blocked by the speedo. So I think we'll just go with the hole in the front. Not quite sure how I'm going to drill that with a hole saw. It's going to be tricky because it's all at an angle. I know a man who can, because they did it on my buddy's Cobra Daytona replica on the rear windows, air scoops. So I might have to take it to them. I might give it a go myself. I really don't like using these, honestly, especially on hard materials, and these guys haven't really got enough teeth. So at the moment I'm left with two choices, which is this one, which is about an inch, I guess, I don't know, and this bigger guy. So that would do it. And of course you only get one shot at this, because once you've drilled out a oversized hole, you can't go back again, except you can file it out, obviously. I'm thinking maybe I do two of these guys, just because it's a smaller width, and therefore I'm not going to have that horrible angle. You know, I mean, at that point you can see half of it's not going to be touching, and it could get nasty. I don't know. Do we go for the big guns? Find the right center drill bit, and I think that one might work. Again, using one of my favourite tools given to me by my very good friend Big Will. This is Big Will. As you can see, he's quite big. I warn you now, this could go horribly wrong. And there could be a few of these being dropped. So for the moment, because I'm going with the smaller one, erring on the side of caution, I've marked 2 holes at the top, and I'm just going to drill the pilot holes for now. So far so good, and this is all plastic, so it's gentle. It's not like you're grinding against tough metal like we were on that that bracket for the Speedo, enlarging that hole. So I'm going to venture a little further. He who dares wins, Rodney. So this is actually going really nicely because it's plastic. So I'm going to try and do this one-handed while I film this, which could be a disaster, but done. Well, that seemed to work very nicely, actually. I'm not sure if I'm going to do 2 more lower down, but I think I might. I've started, so I'll finish. So I'm going to drill out that top one and then another one down the bottom, and that will leave me minimal stuff to clean. Then I've got to work out how to cut this, because I want to flatten this, because I'm going to take these bits off. Not sure how I'm going to cut that. Might even use a circular saw. We'll see. And there it is, kind of in place, a little bit high. But yeah, nice air intake, I think. I guess we'll find out if the ECU agrees with me later. So having cut this out and roughly filled it in and sanded it and everything else and flattened it, I've been looking at various options. I started with metal. Ta-da! And then it's like, well, I can screw it in here, no problem. But what happens when I get to this bit? How do I fix it there? Then I started thinking about plastic, because you could glue it and screw it where it needed to. And that's obviously where the factory came from, because then what I noticed is that this started splitting apart. Right? There's a gap, by the way. Yeah, look there. Okay. So this whole piece that has a seam around it all the way around is actually glued in. So then I started thinking more about plastic. So I'm going to start with this, because it's great. It's corrugated plastic. It's ludicrously light. And so cut this piece out with scissors. Those scissors again. Honestly, not as a final solution, although it might turn out to be. And I'm just going to see how, because it's flexible as well. Flexible but rigid. So I'm going to see how that works out, honestly, before I do anything else. After a little more fettling with the airbox, I gave it a coat of white paint just to get a better idea. It was kind of difficult to see what was straight and what wasn't, and needs a little bit more work on that bottom lip. And yeah, then I've got to work out how I'm going to get the mesh fitted to the inside. So having begged Chuck to cut out a nice sheet metal type flange to cover this, he suggested what I originally feared, to just be patient and sand it out till it's a nice clean shape. So that's what I'm doing with a Dremel type tool. It's a bit like going to the dentist. And it doesn't have to be a bloody affair. I just happened to smack my thumb on the door while I was closing it. So No pressure. Just let the tool gently do its work. I think that's enough for the power tools, so I'm going to finish that off with a big flat file and then some sandpaper. Well, I think that's enough for this time round. It's been quite a long one actually. So thanks again for watching, and remember to subscribe to the channel, and see you again soon.